The gunfire started at 9:47 p.m. 3 shots through the limousine's rear window, glass exploding inward like frozen rain. The woman in the back seat threw herself sideways as bullets punched through leather and metal, her silk blouse already dark with blood from a graze across her shoulder. The driver slumped forward, head against the steering wheel, the horn blaring into the empty parking garage beneath the Cascade Tower in downtown Seattle. The 2 bodyguards who should have been protecting her were already gone, sprinting toward the stairwell exit, their footsteps echoing off concrete as they abandoned their employer to die. The woman whose face appeared on Fortune magazine covers, whose name opened doors from Wall Street to Silicon Valley, was now alone in a bullet-riddled car with her attacker reloading somewhere in the shadows between support columns. And Miguel Torres, night janitor, 42 years old, invisible as the cleaning cart he pushed, was watching it happen from 30 feet away. Freeze that moment. Miguel crouched behind his cart, heart hammering, phone in his trembling hand with 911 already dialed but not yet called. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered and hummed. Somewhere above them, the city moved through its Friday night routines. Down here, a woman was about to die because the men paid to protect her had chosen their own lives instead. Miguel had never been a hero, never imagined himself as one. 6 months ago, he had been a different man entirely. A man with a wife and a daughter and a modest house in Ballard with a vegetable garden out back. A man who worked the early shift at a hospital, who came home to the smell of his wife's cooking, who helped his daughter with her homework at the kitchen table. A man who believed the universe was basically fair if you worked hard and treated people right. Then his wife Elena got sick. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, the doctor said. And Miguel heard the words but couldn't make them mean anything real. 3 months, maybe 6 if they were lucky. She lasted 4 months and 17 days. Long enough to drain their savings, max out their credit cards, force Miguel to take a second mortgage on the house, and still not long enough. Never long enough. After the funeral, he couldn't afford the mortgage payments. Lost the house. Moved with his daughter Rosa into a 1-bedroom apartment in a building that smelled like old cooking oil and had roaches no matter how much he cleaned. Rosa got the bedroom. Miguel slept on the couch when he slept. The hospital let him go. Too many absences during Elena's illness, they said. They were sorry. Everyone was always sorry. The night janitor job at Cascade Tower paid $12 an hour. No benefits. He worked 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., 6 nights a week, and spent his days picking up whatever cash work he could find. Washing dishes, moving furniture, anything. Rosa was 10 years old and stayed with his sister during the nights, riding the bus to school in the mornings while Miguel was finally sleeping. She never complained. She had her mother's strength, her mother's dark eyes, and when she looked at Miguel, he saw both love and worry in her face that no 10-year-old should have to carry. He was invisible in this building. 27 floors of law firms and tech companies and financial offices, and not one person who worked here knew his name. They walked past him in the lobbies, threw their garbage on floors he had just mopped, left their coffee cups on conference room tables. He was part of the building itself, something that cleaned itself while they were gone. And now a woman was dying 30 feet away, and the gunman was walking closer, and Miguel's hands were shaking so hard he nearly dropped his phone. The woman. He knew who she was. Everyone knew who Victoria Kane was. Real estate empire, tech investments, hotel chains across 3 continents. Worth something like $4 billion. Her face on magazine covers in the lobby newsstand. Her name on the building directory. Cascade Capital Partners, 25th floor. She was 4 to 6 years old, never married, famously private, and bleeding in the back seat of a limousine while Miguel tried to decide if he was brave enough to move. The gunman appeared from behind a concrete pillar. Male, maybe 30, wearing dark clothes and a ski mask. He moved with the efficiency of someone who had done this before. The gun in his hand looked enormous, black and heavy. He walked toward the limousine slowly, weapon raised, taking his time now that the bodyguards were gone. Miguel thought about Rosa. Thought about his daughter waking up tomorrow and learning her father had been killed trying to save a billionaire he had never met. Thought about his sister having to raise Rosa alone, another burden on a woman who already had 3 kids and a husband who drank. Thought about Elena's grave in the cemetery in Shoreline, the headstone he paid for in installments, and how he would never visit it again. He pressed dial on his phone, heard the operator answer, whispered the address, the situation, please hurry, and then he put the phone down on the concrete with the line still open and grabbed the first thing his hand found on his cleaning cart. A mop, industrial weight, wooden handle, the kind that got heavy after you used it for 8 hours. Not a weapon, just a tool for cleaning floors. The gunman reached the limousine, grabbed the rear door handle, started to pull it open. Miguel ran. He did not run like a hero in a movie. He ran like a middle-aged man who spent 14 hours a day on his feet and ate one meal a day to save money and had not exercised in 2 years. He ran with his work boots slapping on concrete, his breath already ragged, his body screaming at him to stop, to hide, to let someone else be brave. The gunman heard him at the last second, started to turn. Miguel swung the mop like a baseball bat, connected with the side of the man's head. The impact jolted through Miguel's arms, made his shoulders scream. The gunman staggered, but did not fall. Raised his gun. Miguel swung again, hit the man's gun hand this time, sent the weapon spinning across the concrete. Heard it clatter and slide under a parked car. The gunman grabbed for it, and Miguel drove the mop handle into his stomach like a spade. The man went down gasping. Miguel did not wait to see if he would get up. He grabbed the limousine's rear door, yanked it open, saw Victoria Kane staring at him with wide eyes and blood on her shoulder and her mouth open to scream or speak. He could not tell which. "We have to go," Miguel said. His voice sounded strange in his own ears, high and tight. Right now. She moved. He would remember that later. She did not hesitate or question. She grabbed his extended hand and let him pull her from the car, stumbled against him. And he caught her weight, felt how light she was despite her height, felt the sticky warmth of her blood soaking into his uniform shirt. Behind them, the gunman was getting up. Miguel could hear him breathing, a ragged wheeze. "Run," Miguel said, and they ran. The parking garage had 6 levels. They were on P3. Miguel knew every inch of this space from months of emptying garbage cans and cleaning the floors. He knew where the cameras were, where the blind spots were, where the service elevator was that required a key card but had a broken lock he had never reported because sometimes he used it to take breaks. He pulled Victoria toward that elevator, her weight against his side, her breathing harsh and pained. Behind them, the gunman was shouting something Miguel could not make out. The sound of running footsteps. Getting closer. They reached the elevator. Miguel slammed his palm against the button, heard the machinery grind to life somewhere in the shaft. The gunman appeared around a parked SUV, 40 feet away, something in his hand that might have been another gun. The elevator doors opened. Miguel shoved Victoria inside, threw himself after her, hammered the close door button with his fist. The doors slid shut with agonizing slowness. Through the narrowing gap, Miguel saw the gunman raising his weapon. The doors closed. The elevator lurched upward. Victoria Kane slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor, one hand pressed to her shoulder, blood seeping between her fingers. She was breathing fast and shallow. Shock, Miguel thought. He had seen it before with Elena, that glassy look in the eyes, the way the body stopped feeling pain because feeling too much would break something fundamental. "You're okay," Miguel said, even though she was clearly not okay. "Help is coming. Police are on the way." She looked up at him. Her eyes were gray, he noticed, gray like the Seattle sky most days. Expensive makeup smeared with sweat and fear. Diamond earrings catching the elevator light. "You saved my life," she said. Miguel did not know what to say to that. He had saved her life. This woman he had never spoken to, whose world was so far from his that they might as well have lived on different planets. The elevator climbed. 2nd floor. 1st. Ground. "The police will want to talk to you," she said. Her voice was steadier now, the shock fading. "You'll need to give a statement." "I know." "Thank you." She said it simply, like she meant it. "What's your name?" "Miguel Torres." "Thank you, Miguel Torres." The elevator doors opened onto the ground floor lobby. Miguel could hear sirens outside, getting louder, red and blue lights flashing through the glass doors. He helped Victoria stand, kept his arm around her as they stumbled toward the entrance. The security guard at the desk was already calling out, grabbing his radio, running toward them. The next hours passed in a blur. Police everywhere, asking questions, taking photos, EMTs treating Victoria's shoulder wound. Miguel sat in the back of an ambulance with a blanket around his shoulders even though he was not the one who had been shot. An officer took his statement, took it again, asked him to describe the gunman, asked about the bodyguards who ran, asked why Miguel had decided to intervene. He did not have a good answer to that last question. Because it was right, he said. Because someone had to. They let him go at 2 in the morning. Told him they would be in touch. Told him he was brave. One officer shook his hand. Miguel walked to the bus stop 3 blocks away and waited in the cold for the night bus that would take him back toward his apartment. His uniform was stiff with dried blood. His hands were still shaking. He had 4 more hours until his shift ended, but he knew he was not going back to finish it. He would lose the pay, maybe lose the job. It did not matter. Nothing mattered except getting home and calling his sister to make sure Rosa was okay, to hear his daughter's voice and know she still had a father. The bus came. Miguel got on, rode through empty streets with his forehead pressed against the cold window, watched the city slide past, all those lit windows where people were sleeping or fighting or making love or watching television, all those lives that would never intersect with his, all that human noise that drowned out individual voices. He did not know yet what he had started. Did not know that Victoria Kane had already made phone calls from her hospital bed. Did not know that the security footage from the parking garage was already being reviewed by people who would soon have questions. Did not know that the bodyguards who ran were already being questioned by police, already constructing their story. He got off the bus, walked the 6 blocks to his apartment building, climbed the stairs because the elevator was broken again, let himself into the apartment, called his sister. Rosa's fine, Maria said. Sleeping. What's wrong? You sound strange. Nothing, Miguel said. I just wanted to make sure. You're scaring me. I'm okay. I'll pick her up tomorrow afternoon like always. He hung up, sat on his couch in the dark, did not turn on the lights. His hands had finally stopped shaking. Outside, the city hummed its night song. Sirens, traffic, someone shouting in the building across the street. All of it familiar, all of it meaningless. At 6:42 a.m., he finally fell asleep sitting up with his work boots still on. And somewhere across the city, Victoria Kane was telling someone that the janitor who saved her life deserved more than a handshake and a thanks. But Miguel did not know that yet. He was dreaming about Elena's garden, about tomatoes growing fat and red in the summer sun, about a world where good things happened to people who worked hard and tried their best. He would wake up in 3 hours to a world that no longer believed in him at all. Chapter 2 coming shortly. I wanted to let you know I'm watching from where you are watching from too. Drop your location in the comments and let me know if this story is hitting home. The news broke on Saturday morning. Miguel woke to the sound of his phone ringing. Not the alarm. An actual call. He fumbled for it on the floor beside the couch, squinted at the screen. Unknown number. He let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Different unknown number. Then again. He turned the phone off and sat up, his back screaming from sleeping upright, his mouth tasting like copper and exhaustion. Someone was knocking on his apartment door. Miguel looked at the clock on the microwave. 9:23 a.m. 3 hours of sleep. His body felt like it had been beaten. His uniform shirt was still bloody, crumpled on the floor where he had finally taken it off at some point in the early morning. The knocking continued, insistent. He opened the door to find 2 men in suits. Not police. Something else. Private security, maybe. They had the look. Press clothes. Blank expressions. One of them held up a phone showing a screenshot of a news article. Miguel Torres, the first man said. Yes. You need to see this. The headline read, Billionaire's bodyguards reveal janitor's attack. Beneath it, a photo of Miguel from his employee file at Cascade Tower. His face looked wrong in the picture, somehow guilty even though he had done nothing except show up for work. The subheading, Security Team claims Victoria Kane's rescue actually assaulted her, mistook medical emergency for attack. Miguel's mouth went dry. He read the first paragraph on the phone screen. Victoria Kane's security detail, both highly trained former military personnel, reported that on Friday night they witnessed building janitor Miguel Torres assault Ms. Kane in the parking garage of Cascade Tower. The guards claimed they were attempting to protect their employer when Torres attacked them with a blunt object. Torres then allegedly dragged an injured and disoriented Ms. Kane from her vehicle, possibly causing additional harm. "That's not what happened," Miguel said. His voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. "We know," the second man said. He was older, gray at his temples, tired eyes. "Ms. Kane sent us to bring you somewhere safe. The media has your address. They'll be here soon." "Where's somewhere safe?" "Somewhere that isn't here." Miguel thought about Rosa, about his sister's apartment across town where his daughter was sleeping late on a Saturday morning, safe and unaware that her father's face was all over the news attached to words like assault and attack and allegedly. "I need to get my daughter," Miguel said. "Already done. Ms. Kane's people picked her up 20 minutes ago. She's at a hotel. She's safe. She's asking for you." Miguel tried to process this. Strangers picking up his daughter, taking her somewhere. Rosa would be terrified, unless they told her it was about him. Unless they explained. "I want to talk to her," Miguel said. The older man handed him a different phone. Miguel took it, heard Rosa's voice, small and scared. "Dad, I'm here. Mija, I'm okay. These people said you were in trouble. They showed me a badge. They said you helped someone and now you need help too. Is that true?" Miguel closed his eyes, heard Elena's voice in his head, telling him to be honest with Rosa, always honest, because lies just made things worse in the end. "I helped someone who was hurt. Now some people are saying I did something wrong. But I didn't. You know I wouldn't. I know." Such simple faith. Such absolute trust. His throat felt tight. "I'm going to come see you soon. These men are going to take me to where you are. Be good for Aunt Maria. Okay. She's not here. There's a nice lady here. She gave me pancakes." Of course there was. Miguel handed the phone back, looked at the two men. "Give me 5 minutes." They waited in the hall. Miguel changed clothes, threw essentials into a backpack. Toothbrush, clean shirt, Rosa's stuffed rabbit that she pretended not to need in a mall but still slept with. He looked around the apartment one last time. One bedroom, peeling paint, the couch that doubled as his bed. This was his life. This was what he had built from the rubble of losing Elena and the house and everything that came before. He pulled the door shut behind him and followed the men downstairs. The black SUV waiting at the curb had tinted windows and diplomatic plates. Miguel got in the back. They drove in silence through Saturday morning traffic, heading north toward the waterfront. Past Pike Place Market where tourists were already gathering. Past the piers. Into a neighborhood of new construction and old money. Glass towers rising beside historic buildings. The hotel was the kind Miguel had cleaned but never stayed in. Marble lobby. Doormen in uniforms nicer than anything Miguel owned. The men led him to a service elevator, rode up to the 14th floor, walked him down a hallway to a suite at the end. Rosa opened the door before they could knock. She crashed into Miguel's chest and he caught her, held her tight, breathed in the smell of her hair. Strawberry shampoo. She was wearing the same clothes from yesterday, jeans, and her favorite hoodie with the cat ears. "Dad, this place has 3 bathrooms," she said into his shirt. 3? Why would anyone need 3 bathrooms? "I don't know, baby." Maria appeared behind Rosa, her face tight with worry. "Miguel, what's happening? These people showed up at my door at 8 in the morning with ID and a story about you being a hero and needing protection. I didn't know what to think." "I don't know either," Miguel said. He looked past his sister into the suite. Living room with a view of Elliott Bay. Bedroom doors standing open. Rosa's backpack on one of the leather couches next to a room service cart with the remains of breakfast. Pancakes, like she said. "Ms. Kane will be here in an hour," the older security man said from the doorway. "She wanted to give you time to settle in first. There's food in the kitchen. Anything you need, just pick up the phone and ask." Then they were gone, and Miguel was alone with his daughter and his sister in a hotel suite that probably cost more per night than he made in a month. Maria made coffee in the suite's kitchen, which had an espresso machine Miguel did not know how to operate. They sat on the couch while Rosa explored the bedrooms, exclaiming over every new discovery. Bathtubs big enough to swim in. TVs in every room. A minibar full of chocolate and chips. Tell me what really happened, Maria said. Miguel told her. All of it. The parking garage. The gunfire. The bodyguards running. Victoria Kane bleeding in the back of the car. The gunman. The mop. The elevator. Maria listened without interrupting, her coffee growing cold in her hands. And now they are saying you attacked her. Maria said when he finished. That's what the news says. But the police know the truth. You gave them a statement. They have the security footage. I don't know what they have. I don't know what the bodyguards are saying. I just know that their story is all over the internet and mine isn't. Maria pulled out her phone, started scrolling. Her face went pale. Miguel, there's video. Someone posted video from the parking garage. It's all over social media. She turned the phone toward him. Miguel watched himself on the small screen. Watched the footage from a security camera, grainy and dark. Watched himself run toward the limousine with a mop raised like a weapon. Watched himself swing at the bodyguard. That's what it looked like in the video. Not a gunman. A bodyguard. The angle was wrong. You could not see the gun. Could not see the man's face. Could not see that the bodyguards were running away. Just Miguel hitting someone, grabbing Victoria Kane, pulling her from the car. The video had 17 million views. The comments beneath were a wall of rage. Attacking a woman. Illegal immigrant probably. Deport him. Lock him up. Hope he rots in prison. String him up. Miguel's hands started shaking again. He put the phone down on the couch, afraid he would drop it. They edited it, Maria said. Her voice was shaking too. They cut out the part where the gunman was shooting. They made it look like you were the attacker. Who edited it? I don't know. The bodyguard's lawyers. Maybe? Miguel, people believe this. They think you're a criminal. They are calling for you to be arrested. Rosa came running back from one of the bedrooms. Dad, you have to see this bathroom. It has a TV in the mirror. Then she saw their faces and stopped. What's wrong? Nothing, Mija. Miguel pulled her close. Everything's fine. But everything was not fine. Everything was falling apart in ways Miguel did not understand, could not fight, could not fix by working harder or being better or trying his best. The universe was not fair. He had known that since Elena died. But some part of him had still believed that truth mattered, that if you did the right thing, people would see it eventually. The edited video had 17 million views. The truth had none. His phone, which he had turned back on, was full of messages now. Voicemails from numbers he did not recognize. Text messages. Emails to an address he barely used. He scrolled through them, his stomach sinking. You a monster. I hope you die. We know where you live. You're going to pay for what you did. Rapist. Criminal. Scum. On and on. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. A wall of hate from strangers who had never met him, who knew nothing about his life, who had seen 15 seconds of edited video and decided he deserved to die. Miguel turned the phone off again. Looked at Rosa, who was watching him with Elena's eyes, worried and scared and trying to be brave. 10 years old. 4th grade. She liked to read fantasy novels and draw pictures of dragons and wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up. She was the only good thing left in Miguel's life. The only thing that mattered. I'm going to fix this, Miguel said. I promise. But he had no idea how. No money for a lawyer. No connections. No power. Just the truth, which apparently counted for nothing at all. Maria's phone rang. She answered, listened, her face growing more worried. It's your job, she said to Miguel. Cascade Tower. They are firing you. Effective immediately. Security violation, they said. Unauthorized use of company property to commit assault. They're not even paying you for your last shift. Of course they were. Miguel had known it was coming. You did not embarrass powerful people and keep your job. You did not make the news and stay invisible. The building had decided he was a liability. Probably decided it hours ago, as soon as the bodyguards started talking to their lawyers. I'll find something else, Miguel said. But he would not. Not with his face all over the news. Not with assault allegations. Not with 17 million people convinced he was a monster. No one would hire him now. Not even for cash work. Not even for the jobs that paid under the table and asked no questions. He had exactly $418 in his checking account. Rent was due in 11 days. $950. He could not pay it. Could not pay for food. Could not pay for anything. The apartment was already gone, even if he did not know it yet. This hotel suite was borrowed time. Rosa was going to have to go live with Maria full-time, and Maria could barely afford her own 3 kids, and Miguel would end up on the street or in a shelter or in jail if the police decided the edited video was enough to charge him. Everything he had built, everything he had fought for since Elena died, was collapsing, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. A knock on the door. Miguel opened it to find a woman in her 30s, professional, expensive suit, tablet in her hands. "Mr. Torres, I'm Jennifer Reeves, Ms. Kane's executive assistant. She's ready to see you now. Just you, if that's all right. Your sister and daughter can stay here." Miguel looked back at Rosa. "I'll be right back. Mija, stay with Aunt Maria. Promise. Promise." He followed Jennifer down the hall to another suite, this one even larger. Victoria Kane was sitting on a couch by the window, her left arm in a sling, her face pale but composed. She stood when Miguel entered, extended her right hand. He shook it, acutely aware of how rough his own hand was, calloused and scarred from years of hard work. "Sit, please," Victoria said. "We need to talk." Miguel sat today. Jennifer placed the tablet on the coffee table between them, screen showing the edited video, frozen on a frame of Miguel's face contorted with effort as he swung the mop. "I've seen it," Miguel said. "My former bodyguards released this 6 hours ago," Victoria said. Her voice was controlled, but Miguel could hear fury beneath it. "They're claiming they acted appropriately, that you attacked me, that they fled to call for help. They have lawyers, good ones, the kind that make problems disappear. Why would they lie? Because the truth makes them look like cowards who abandoned their employer to die. Because admitting they ran means they'll never work in security again. Because they are scared of the man who hired the gunman. And they think if they can make you the villain, no one will ask too many questions about why they weren't doing their jobs." Miguel absorbed this. "Who hired the gunman?" "I don't know yet, but I have people finding out." Victoria leaned forward. "Miguel, I watched the real security footage. All of it. I know exactly what you did. You saved my life at serious risk to your own. You're a hero. And right now, the world thinks you're a monster. I know. I'm going to fix this. I promise you. But it's going to take time. My lawyers are working on it. The police are investigating. The problem is that the edited video is viral. Once something is viral, the truth has to fight twice as hard to be heard. People want to believe the worst. It makes them feel better about their own lives." Miguel said nothing. What was there to say? "In the meantime," Victoria continued, "you need protection. The death threats are real. Some of them are credible. My security team is monitoring the situation. You and your daughter can't go home. You can't go back to work. You're a target now. For how long? However long it takes. I can't afford to not work. I have rent, bills. I have $400 to my name." Victoria picked up the tablet, tapped something, turned it toward him. Bank statement. His bank statement. Except the balance was wrong. It said $40,418. "What is this?" Miguel said. "A deposit. Compensation for your heroism. And a retainer, of sorts. I'm hiring you. To do what? To let me fix this. To trust me. To give me time to make the truth louder than the lies." Victoria's gray eyes were steady on his. "I owe you my life, Miguel Torres. I pay my debts. Always." Miguel looked at the number on the screen. $40,000. More money than he had seen in one place since before Elena got sick. Enough to pay rent for 3 years. Enough to buy food, clothes for Rosa. Maybe even save a little. Enough to breathe for the first time in months. But it felt wrong. Like charity. Like he was being bought. "I don't want your money," Miguel said. "Yes, you do. You're just afraid of what it means to accept it." Victoria's voice was gentle now. "I understand. You've had to fight for everything. No one ever helped you. You don't trust generosity because in your experience, it always comes with strings. Doesn't it?" "Sometimes. Not this time. The money is yours. No strings. No conditions. Whether you let me help you clear your name or not, the money stays in your account." But I'm asking you to let me help. Because you deserve justice. And because the men who betrayed me deserve to be held accountable. Miguel thought about Rosa in the other suite, exploring bathrooms with 3 stalls and TVs in the mirrors. Thought about Maria trying to raise 4 kids on a waitress salary. Thought about Elena's grave, the headstone with flowers that Miguel could not afford to bring anymore. Thought about the 17 million people who thought he was a monster. Thought about the edited video. Thought about the truth, which was somewhere on a server in Cascade Tower, waiting to be found. Okay, Miguel said. Help me. Victoria smiled. It was the first real smile Miguel had seen from her. It transformed her face, made her look younger, less like a magazine cover and more like a person. Thank you. Now, let me tell you the rest of it. The part that's going to get worse before it gets better. She was right about that. Over the next 3 days, Miguel learned what it meant to be hated by strangers. The news cycle picked up the story. Cable news, social media, opinion pieces. Everyone had something to say about the janitor who attacked a billionaire. Half the country wanted him in prison. The other half wanted him deported, even though Miguel was born in Tacoma and had never lived anywhere but Washington state. Someone leaked his address. Protesters showed up at his apartment building. His landlord called, said he was terminating the lease for safety reasons. Miguel's sister started getting threats. Someone threw a brick through her living room window with a note attached. Your brother is a rapist. Rosa stopped sleeping through the night. She had nightmares. Woke up crying for her mother. Miguel held her on the hotel bed and told her everything would be okay, and he could tell she did not believe him. Why would she? Nothing had been okay since Elena died. Victoria's team kept them safe. Security outside the hotel room 24 hours a day. Room service 3 times a day. Rosa's school sent her homework. A tutor came to help her keep up. Miguel tried to pay attention, tried to make sure his daughter was okay, but his mind kept drifting to the video, the comments, the hatred. He stopped reading the news, stopped looking at social media, but he could feel it anyway, that weight of public opinion, crushing him slowly. On the 4th day, Victoria's head of security came to the suite with a laptop. We found something, he said. Miguel leaned over the laptop screen. Security footage from Cascade Tower, but not the edited version. This was the full thing. Clear angles, timestamps, audio, the gunman appearing, shooting through the limousine window, the bodyguards running, Miguel with his cleaning cart, frozen with fear. The moment he made the decision, the fight, the rescue, all of it, truth in digital form. How did you get this? Miguel asked. Ms. Kane's people have been investigating. Turns out the bodyguards didn't have access to edit the security system. Someone else did. Someone with administrator credentials. We're still tracking down who. This proves I'm telling the truth. Yes, Ms. Kane wants to release it tomorrow. Hold a press conference. Set the record straight. But there's something else you need to know first. The security chief pulled up another file. Police report. Arrest record. The bodyguards had been arrested that morning. Not for abandoning Victoria. For conspiracy. For taking money to ensure their employer was vulnerable. For coordinating with the gunman. They were in on it, Miguel said slowly. The whole time. Yes. And Ms. Kane thinks she knows who paid them. But proving it is going to be complicated. Dangerous, maybe. The kind of person who tries to kill a billionaire doesn't stop just because the first attempt failed. Miguel felt something cold settle in his chest. You're saying she's still in danger. We're saying you both are. Whoever hired the hit is going to be very unhappy when this video goes public. When people learn the truth, they're going to want to discredit it. Discredit you. Make sure the story dies. How do they do that? The security chief did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice was careful. By making sure the witnesses can't testify. By any means necessary. Miguel understood. He looked toward the bedroom where Rosa was doing homework, blissfully unaware that her father was now a target not just of public hatred, but of something darker and more final. He should have stayed invisible. Should have let Victoria Kane die in that parking garage. Should have thought about his daughter first. But he had not. He had run toward the gunfire instead of away from it. And now he had to live with the consequences. When's the press conference? Miguel asked. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Ms. Kane wants you there, standing beside her, telling your side of the story. She thinks if people see you, hear you, they'll realize the truth. And if they don't, then we keep fighting until they do. Miguel nodded. He did not feel brave, did not feel like a hero. He felt tired, scared, like a man who had made a choice and was now watching everything he loved burn because of it. But he had made the choice, and he would stand by it. For Elena, who taught him that doing the right thing mattered even when it cost you everything. For Rosa, who needed to learn that her father was someone worth believing in. For Victoria Kane, who had looked at him in that parking garage with Elena's eyes and trusted him to save her. Tomorrow he would tell the truth. And maybe the truth would be enough. Or maybe it would just make things worse. Either way, there was no going back now. If you haven't already, comment where you're watching from and hit that like button. This story is just getting started. And if you think it's wild now, just wait. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, you're going to want to see this. The press conference was held in the ballroom of the Fairmont Olympic Hotel in downtown Seattle. 200 reporters, maybe more. Cameras everywhere. Lights hot and bright. Miguel stood backstage with Victoria Kane, watching through a gap in the curtains as the room filled with people who wanted his story, his pain, his truth packaged into sound bites. You don't have to do this, Victoria said. She looked different today. Stronger. Her arm was still in a sling, but she wore a navy suit that probably cost more than Miguel made in 6 months. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup flawless. She looked like power itself. I can tell them everything. You can stay back, hey? No, Miguel said. His voice was steadier than he felt. I need to do this. Rosa was back at the hotel with Maria, watching on television. Miguel had promised her he would be brave. Promised he would tell everyone the truth. His daughter believed in him. That had to be enough. Jennifer, Victoria's assistant, appeared at Miguel's elbow with a glass of water. 5 minutes, Ms. Kane. The tech team has the full video queued up. Legal says we're clear to release it. Victoria nodded. She turned to Miguel. Just tell them what happened. Simple. Direct. Don't let them rattle you. Some of the questions will be hostile. They'll try to trip you up. Make you angry. Don't take the bait. I won't. And Miguel, thank you. For all of this. For being willing to stand up here with me. Before Miguel could respond, Jennifer was ushering them toward the stage. Miguel's legs felt weak. His hands were shaking again. He shoved them in his pockets. Tried to breathe. The last time he had been in front of this many people was at Elena's funeral, and even then, he had been hidden in grief, barely aware of the faces around him. This was different. This was exposure. Every camera pointed at him like a weapon. Every reporter ready to write his story before he even opened his mouth. Victoria walked onto the stage first. The room erupted with questions, all of them shouted at once. She raised her hand for silence. Got it. Miguel followed her out, stayed slightly behind, tried to make himself small. Impossible. The lights found him. The cameras swung toward him. He heard the click and whir of shutters. Thank you all for coming, Victoria said into the microphone. Her voice carried through the room with absolute authority. I'm going to make a brief statement, then show you some video, and then Miguel Torres and I will take questions. I ask that you hold your questions until we're finished. She did not wait for agreement. She spoke for 3 minutes, told the story of Friday night in cold, factual terms. The attack, the bodyguards fleeing, Miguel's intervention, the edited video released by the Bodyguards legal team, the arrest that morning. The men tasked with protecting me instead sold me out, Victoria said. They took money to ensure I would be vulnerable. They coordinated with my attacker. And when their plan went wrong because of Miguel Torres' heroism, they tried to destroy him to cover their own guilt. She nodded to someone off stage. The lights dimmed. A screen lowered behind them. The video started playing. The real video. Full footage. Audio included. Miguel watched the room watch him. So the moment they realized. Saw faces change. Reporters leaning forward. Phones coming out to record the recording. The gunman visible. The muzzle flashes. The bodyguards running. Miguel with his cleaning cart. His moment of hesitation. His decision. The fight. The rescue. When the video ended, the room was silent for 3 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. Victoria raised her hand again. Questions. One at a time, please. The first question came from a woman in the front row. Ms. Kane, why didn't you release this footage immediately? Why let Mr. Torres suffer 4 days of death threats and public hatred? Because I didn't have it immediately, Victoria said. The footage was stored on a server with restricted access. It took my security team 3 days to get the proper warrants and retrieve the unedited files. The moment we had it, we called this press conference. Mr. Torres, a man in the back, called out. How do you feel about the people who called you a monster? Miguel stepped to the microphone. Swallowed hard. I feel like they didn't know the truth. Now they do. That's all I wanted. Do you plan to sue the Bodyguards for defamation? I don't know. I just want my life back. What do you do now? You lost your job. Your apartment. Where do you go from here? Miguel had not thought about that. Had not looked past this moment. I don't know, he said again. He sounded weak. Defeated. He hated it. Victoria stepped back to the microphone. Mr. Torres will be joining my security team as a consultant. He's proven his capability under pressure, and he deserves to be compensated for his heroism. Next question. Miguel blinked. Security consultant. He had not discussed that with Victoria, had not agreed to anything beyond clearing his name. But she was looking at him with an expression that said, trust me. And he did, so he nodded. The questions continued for another 20 minutes. Some hostile, some sympathetic. Miguel answered as honestly as he could. Told them about Rosa, about Elena, about the apartment and the job and the fact that he had just been trying to do the right thing. Nothing more. When it was over, Victoria thanked the reporters and walked off stage. Miguel followed. As soon as they were backstage, his legs gave out. He sat down hard on a folding chair, breathing hard, adrenaline draining away. You did great, Victoria said. She was checking her phone, already moving on to the next thing. The video is going viral. The real one. It's already got more views than the edited version. By tonight, public opinion will have shifted completely. Good, Miguel said. He did not feel good. He felt empty. The security consultant position is real, by the way. If you want it, it pays $80,000 a year. Benefits. Health insurance. You'd mostly be training new hires, sharing what you learned Friday night. How to stay calm under pressure. How to make split-second decisions. That sort of thing. $80,000 a year. Miguel had never made more than 30. Had never had health insurance that actually covered anything. He looked up at Victoria, searching her face for the catch. The string attached. Why? He asked. Because you saved my life. Because you deserve it. Because I want you to. She put her phone away. Met his eyes. Miguel, I know you don't trust generosity. But I'm not being generous. I'm being practical. You have skills I can use. Instincts. Judgment. The kind of things you can't teach. I want you on my team. Say yes. Miguel thought about Rosa. About giving her stability. Health insurance. A father who did not have to work 2 jobs and still come up short. About maybe sleeping more than 4 hours a night. About having a life that was not just survival. Yes, he said. Victoria smiled. Extended her hand. They shook on it. Outside the hotel, the world was changing its mind about Miguel Torres. The new video had 17 million views by midnight. 50 million by the next morning. The edited video was being pulled down from social media platforms. The news cycle turned. Cable news anchors apologized for their rush to judgment. Opinion pieces praised Miguel's heroism. The tide shifted. But tides do not shift for everyone at the same speed. Miguel's old landlord did not call to say he could have his apartment back. His old boss at Cascade Tower did not offer him his job. The people who sent death threats did not apologize. They just stopped sending them. Moved on to the next target. The next outrage. Miguel took the security consultant job. Moved into a small house Victoria's company owned in Ballard, not far from where he used to live before Elena died. 2 bedrooms. A yard. Room for Rosa to have her own space. She transferred to a new school. Started sleeping through the night again. Started smiling again. Maria visited every weekend, brought groceries, made dinner, told Miguel she was proud of him, and he could hear in her voice that she meant it but also could not quite believe it. None of this felt real to Miguel either. The job, the house, the paycheck that cleared every 2 weeks without fail. He trained new security hires 3 days a week, told them about the parking garage, about the moment of decision, about how fear makes you freeze and you have to move through it anyway. The new hires listened. Some of them got it. Some of them did not. Miguel did his best and went home at 5 p.m. every day, which was a miracle all by itself. Victoria checked in once a week, sometimes more. She was kind but distant, professional. Miguel was on her team now, but they were not friends. Not quite. He was useful to her. That was fine. He understood transactional relationships. Most relationships were transactional when you got down to it. 3 weeks after the press conference, Victoria called him to her office on the 25th floor. Miguel rode the elevator up, remembering the night he had ridden it down with her bleeding beside him. The office was glass and steel and money. Views of Elliott Bay. Modern art on the walls. A desk that probably cost more than Miguel's car. Victoria was on the phone when he arrived. She gestured for him to sit. Finished her call. Turned to him with an expression he could not read. "The investigation is complete," she said. "The police know who hired the gunman, who paid off my bodyguards, who tried to have me killed." "Who?" "My cousin, James Kane. He stands to inherit 40% of my estate if I die without children, which I have no plans to have. He's been embezzling from the family trust for 3 years. I was about to discover it, so he tried to kill me first." Miguel absorbed this. "Your family tried to kill you?" "Yes, and he would have succeeded if you hadn't intervened." Victoria's voice was flat. No emotion, just facts. "He's being arrested this afternoon. His lawyers will fight it. But the evidence is solid. The bodyguards turned on him, gave the prosecution everything they needed for a conviction." "Good." "Yes, good." Victoria looked out the window at the water. "I wanted to thank you again. For everything. For saving my life. For standing with me through all of this. You didn't have to. Most people wouldn't have." "You would have done the same for me," Miguel said. Victoria turned back to him, smiled slightly. "No, I wouldn't have. I like to think I would. But I don't know. I've never been tested like you were. Never had to choose between my safety and someone else's. You did, and you chose right. That's rare." They sat in silence for a moment. Miguel felt the weight of everything that had happened pressing down on him. The parking garage, the video, the press conference, the new life that still did not feel like his. All of it spinning out from one moment. One decision. One act of courage or stupidity, depending on how you looked at it. "What happens now?" Miguel asked. "Now we go back to normal. You keep training my security team. I keep building my empire. James goes to prison. Justice is served." Victoria said it like it was simple. Like life just resumed after something like this. But Miguel knew better. Life did not resume. It just kept moving forward, carrying you with it whether you were ready or not. That night, Miguel drove home to the house in Ballard. Found Rosa in the kitchen doing homework at the table. She looked up when he came in. Smiled. "How was work?" "Good," Miguel said. He meant it. Work had been good. Life was good. Better than it had been in 2 years. Better than he deserved. Maybe. "Can we get a dog?" Rosa asked. Miguel laughed. "Maybe. Someday." "You always say someday. Because someday is when things get better. And things are better now than they were. So maybe someday is now." Rosa considered this. Nodded seriously. "Okay. Can we get a dog now?" "We'll talk about it." Miguel sat down across from her. Looked at his daughter. Elena's eyes. Elena's determination. Rosa would be okay. That was the only thing that mattered. Everything else was just noise. Later, after Rosa was asleep, Miguel sat on his back porch and looked at the sky. Stars were visible tonight, which was rare in Seattle. He tried to remember the last time he had stopped to look at stars. Before Elena died, probably. Before everything fell apart. He thought about the parking garage. About the split second when he decided to run toward the gunfire instead of away from it. About how that moment had changed everything. Victoria was wrong about one thing. It was not rare to choose right. People chose right all the time. They just did not always get rewarded for it. Usually they got punished, lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their lives. Miguel had been lucky. The universe had, for once, been fair. The good thing he did had led to good things happening. That was rare. That was the exception. But knowing that made it no less real. Made the house no less solid. Made Rosa's happiness no less true. Miguel went inside, locked the door, checked on Rosa one more time, went to bed in his own room with a door that closed and a mattress that did not have springs poking through. Slept for 8 hours without waking once. And across town, in a mansion in Madison Park, James Cain was being arrested. Led out in handcuffs past cameras and reporters. His face on the news. His name attached to words like conspiracy and attempted murder and betrayal. The universe being fair. For once. But somewhere in the dark spaces between fair and unfair, between justice and injustice, something was stirring. Someone was watching. Someone who had paid James Cain to kill Victoria. Someone who had not been caught yet. Someone who did not like loose ends. Miguel did not know about that yet. Did not know that the story was not over. Did not know that saving one life had put his own in danger. He slept peacefully, dreaming of gardens and stars and a future where everything worked out in the end. And in the shadows, the real threat was just beginning to move. Drop a comment if this story is giving you chills. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you want to see how this all plays out. Share this with someone who needs to hear a story about justice actually winning for once. The call came at 2:37 a.m. on a Tuesday in late November. Miguel woke to his phone vibrating on the nightstand. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, almost rolled over and went back to sleep. But 2:37 a.m. calls were never good news. He answered, "Mr. Torres." A woman's voice. Professional. Urgent. "This is Officer Chen with Seattle PD. We need you to come to Swedish Medical Center immediately. It's about Victoria Cain." Miguel was already getting out of bed. What happened? "There was an incident at her home tonight. She's stable, but she's asking for you. I can't say more over the phone. How soon can you be here?" 20 minutes. Miguel hung up, pulled on jeans and a shirt, checked on Rosa, who was sleeping peacefully. He called Maria. She answered on the 4th ring, groggy and confused. Miguel explained. Asked her to come stay with Rosa. She said she would be there in 10 minutes. Miguel waited by the door, his mind racing. An incident at Victoria's home. Stable but asking for him. That could mean anything. Another attack. An accident. Something worse. Maria arrived. Miguel gave her the spare key, thanked her, drove too fast through empty streets toward First Hill. The hospital parking garage reminded him viscerally of Cascade Tower. Same concrete. Same fluorescent lights. Same sense of something terrible waiting in the shadows. Officer Chen met him in the emergency room lobby. She was young, maybe 30, with tired eyes and a notepad in her hand. "Mr. Torres, thank you for coming. Ms. Cain is in a private room. Before you see her, I need to ask you some questions. Is she hurt?" "She will be fine. Physically. But she's shaken. Someone broke into her home tonight around midnight. Disabled her alarm system. Got past her security. She woke up to find a man standing in her bedroom." Miguel felt cold. Did he hurt her? He didn't get the chance. She has a panic button by her bed. She hit it. Security responded in under 90 seconds. The intruder fled. But Mr. Torres, he left something behind. Officer Chen pulled out her phone. Showed Miguel a photo. A piece of paper on Victoria's bed. White paper. Black ink. Block letters. A message. "You should have died in the parking garage." Miguel read it twice. His hands started shaking. He shoved them in his pockets. "You think this is connected to James Cain?" "We know it is. James Cain is in jail, but is not working alone. Never was. The investigation revealed he was part of a larger conspiracy. People who wanted Ms. Cain dead for various reasons. We arrested James. We didn't get everyone. How many others? We don't know. That's the problem. And until we figure it out, Ms. Cain is in danger. Which means you might be too. You're a witness. You saved her life. That makes you a target." Miguel thought about Rosa. about his sister and her 3 kids, about the house in Ballard that suddenly felt very exposed, very vulnerable. What do we do? For now, I need your statement. Then you can see Ms. Kane. After that, we'll discuss protective measures. Miguel gave his statement, told Officer Chen everything he knew, which was not much. Then she led him through secured doors, down a hallway, to a private room at the end. 2 security guards outside. Not Victoria's people. Police. Victoria was sitting up in bed, wearing a hospital gown, looking smaller than Miguel had ever seen her. No makeup. Hair loose. Her left arm still in a sling from the original attack. She looked up when Miguel entered. Relief flooded her face. "You came," she said. "Of course I came." Miguel sat in the chair beside her bed. "Are you okay?" "No, but I'm alive. Thanks to a panic button and good security response time." "Miguel, I woke up and there was a man in my room, just standing there, watching me sleep. If I hadn't hit that button." She trailed off. Miguel saw her hands shaking, saw the fear she was trying to hide. Victoria Kane, who commanded boardrooms and built empires and never showed weakness, was terrified. "The police think this is connected to James," Miguel said. "It is. It has to be. That note. You should have died in the parking garage. This is about you saving me. About the plan failing. They are trying to finish the job. They won't. The police are on it. Your security is on it. You'll be safe." Victoria looked at him, gray eyes red-rimmed from crying or lack of sleep. "Will you be safe? You're a target too. You heard the officer. These people don't leave loose ends." Miguel had been trying not to think about that. "I'll be careful." "That's not enough. Miguel, these are professionals. They broke into my home. Past alarms. Past security. They are not going to stop. And they are not going to make mistakes." Her voice broke. "I can't have your death on my conscience. Not after you saved my life. That's not your responsibility." "Yes, it is. You got involved because of me. Because you were brave enough to help a stranger. And now you're in danger because of it. That's on me." Before Miguel could respond, Jennifer appeared in the doorway. Victoria's assistant looked like she had not slept in days. "Ms. Kane, the board is here. They want to discuss security protocols." "Tell them to wait," Victoria said. "They're insistent. They're talking about pulling you from public appearances. Maybe relocating you entirely until this is resolved." I said they can wait. Jennifer nodded and left. Victoria turned back to Miguel. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to really think about your answer. Okay, come work for me. Full-time, not as a consultant, as head of my personal security. Move into my estate. You and Rosa both. There's a guest house. 3 bedrooms. Fully furnished. You'd be on-site 24/7, but you'd also be safe. Protected. And you'd be protecting me." Miguel stared at her. "You want me to be your bodyguard. I want you to be the person I trust with my life. Because you've already proven you'll protect it. Because you have instincts that can't be trained. Because I know you'll never betray me." "Victoria, I'm not qualified for that. I'm a janitor. I got lucky in a parking garage. That doesn't make me head of security material. You're not a janitor anymore, and luck had nothing to do with it. You made a choice under pressure. The right choice. That's what I need. Someone who will make the right choice when it matters most." Miguel thought about it. About moving Rosa again. About living on Victoria Kane's estate like some kind of live-in servant. About trading one form of dependence for another. About what Elena would think. About what he wanted. "How much does it pay?" he asked. $150,000 a year. Plus housing. Plus benefits. Plus a security budget to hire your own team. 150,000. Miguel had never imagined making that much money. Could not even picture what that kind of financial security felt like. He thought about Rosa, about college funds, about not worrying every month whether the bills would get paid, about being able to breathe. But he also thought about freedom, about having his own space, about not being beholden to anyone, even someone who meant well. "Can I think about it?" Miguel asked. "Of course. But Miguel, I need an answer soon. I'm being discharged tomorrow morning. The board wants me in a safe house until this is resolved. If you're coming with me, We need to make arrangements. Tomorrow morning. I'll have an answer by then. Victoria nodded, looked exhausted suddenly. Miguel stood to leave. She caught his hand. Thank you. For coming. For caring. You didn't have to. Yes, I did, Miguel said. You saved my life too. The job. The house. Rosa having stability. That was you. So we're even. We'll never be even, Victoria said softly. You gave me my life back. I can never repay that. Miguel left the hospital as the sky was starting to lighten. Dawn coming. He drove home through early morning traffic. Delivery trucks. Street cleaners. People heading to early shifts. The invisible workforce that kept cities running. Miguel had been part of that workforce. Maybe he still was. Maria was asleep on his couch when he got home. He made coffee quietly, sat at the kitchen table, thought about Victoria's offer. $150,000 a year. Security. Safety. The chance to actually protect someone instead of just cleaning up after them. The chance to matter. But also, living on someone else's property. Being on call all the time. Raising Rosa in the shadow of wealth and privilege that would never be theirs. Teaching his daughter that their value came from service to someone more powerful. Was that wrong? People work for other people all the time. Employees. Contractors. That was how the world worked. Victoria was offering him respect. Good pay. Important work. Why did it feel like he would be selling something essential? Because it was Victoria's world, not his. Because he would always be the help, no matter how well he was paid. Because Rosa would grow up seeing her father serve someone else. And what would that teach her about her own worth? Miguel drank his coffee, watched the sun come up through the kitchen window, thought about Elena, about what she would say. Elena, who had been a nurse, who had served people every day, who had found dignity in caring for others. She would have told him to take the job, to give Rosa stability, to stop being proud and start being practical. Rosa appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Dad, why is Aunt Maria sleeping on our couch? I had to go help someone last night. She came to stay with you. The lady you saved, is she okay? She will be. Rosa climbed into his lap, even though she was getting too big for that. Wrapped her arms around his neck. Smelled like sleep and strawberry shampoo. You're always helping people, she said. That's good. Mom would be proud. Miguel held his daughter, felt her heartbeat against his chest, thought about keeping her safe, about teaching her that helping people mattered, but also that they mattered, that they deserved safety and security and a life that was not defined by service to others. Rosa, he said, how would you feel about moving again? To a bigger house, with a yard and maybe space for that dog you keep asking about. Rosa pulled back to look at him. Really? A dog? Maybe, if we move. The lady I help wants us to come live at her house. In a guest house. I would work for her. Keep her safe. Like a bodyguard. Would I have to change schools again? Probably. Rosa considered this. Would we have our own space? Like, our own house? Yes. 3 bedrooms. You could have your own room. A big one. And a dog. I'll think about the dog. Rosa hugged him again. Okay. If you think it's good, then it's good. I trust you, Dad. I trust you. The weight of that. The responsibility. Miguel called Victoria at 9 a.m. She answered immediately. Miguel, I'll take the job, he said. But I have conditions. Name them. Rosa gets to finish the school year at her current school. I'll drive her every day if I have to. I want my own vehicle, not one of yours. Mine. And I want it in writing that I can quit at any time if it's not working. No contracts that trap me. Done. Anything else? Keep treating me like a person, not like staff. That's all I ask. There was a pause. Then Victoria said, Miguel, I have never thought of you as anything but a person. A person I owe my life to. And I promise I never will. Okay then. When do we start? Pack your things. Move in this weekend. I'll have the guest house ready. And Miguel, thank you for trusting me. Miguel hung up, looked at Rosa, who was eating cereal at the table, looked at the house they had lived in for 3 months. The first stable place they had been since Elena died. Now they were leaving it, moving into another borrowed space, another temporary solution. But maybe that was life now. A series of temporary solutions. A series of choices made under pressure. You did your best and hoped it worked out and kept moving forward. Maria woke up on the couch. "Everything okay?" she asked. "We're moving," Miguel said. "This weekend. Again. Hopefully for the last time." Maria looked at him for a long moment. "You're making the right choice, even if it doesn't feel like it." "How do you know?" "Because you're keeping Rosa safe. Everything else is just details." Miguel nodded. She was right. Everything else was just details. That weekend, Miguel and Rosa moved into the guest house on Victoria Kane's estate in Medina. The property had gates, guards, cameras everywhere. The guest house was bigger than any place Miguel had ever lived. Hardwood floors, modern kitchen, 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, a yard that backed onto woods. Rosa loved it immediately, ran through every room, claimed the biggest bedroom, asked again about the dog. Miguel unpacked their things. Not much. A few boxes, some furniture. Their lives fit into a pickup truck. That should have been depressing. Instead, it felt like freedom. Like they could leave whenever they wanted. Like they were not trapped. Victoria came by that evening. Knocked on the door. Miguel invited her in. She looked around the guest house with approval. "Is it okay? Does Rosa like it?" "She loves it," Miguel said. Rosa was already in her room, setting up her books and stuffed animals. "It's perfect. Thank you." "Good. Tomorrow we'll go over security protocols. I'll introduce you to the rest of the team. For tonight, just settle in. Get comfortable. This is your home now. Your home." Miguel wanted to believe that. Wanted to believe this place could be home. But home was something you owned, something you built, something that could not be taken away. This was borrowed. Temporary. Safe for now. Victoria left. Miguel made dinner. He and Rosa ate at the small dining table. Through the window, he could see the main house lit up like a palace. Could see shadows moving inside. Victoria's world. A world he was now part of, but not really. He was on the edges. In the guest house. The help with good benefits. That night, Miguel lay in bed in his new room and thought about the parking garage. About the moment he ran toward the gunfire. If he had known then what he knew now, would he have done it? Would he have saved Victoria Kane? Yes, he would have. Because it was right. Because someone had to. Because in that moment, her life mattered more than his fate. But knowing that did not make the consequences any easier to live with. Did not make this borrowed life feel any more real. Did not make the danger any less present. Somewhere in Seattle, someone was planning. Someone who wanted Victoria dead. Someone who saw Miguel as an obstacle. Someone who would not stop until both of them were gone. Miguel lay in the dark and listened to Rosa breathing in the room down the hall. Listened to the unfamiliar sounds of this new place. Tried to sleep. Could not. Because the story was not over. The real fight had not even started yet. And Miguel Torres, former janitor, current bodyguard, reluctant hero, was about to learn that saving someone's life once did not mean you could do it again. If you're still with me, you're watching something special unfold. Hit that like button and comment below where you're watching from. And please, share this with someone who needs to see that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the finale is coming and you will not want to miss it. The attack came on Christmas Eve. Miguel had been head of security for Victoria Kane for 4 weeks. In that time, he had learned that protecting someone was 90% boredom and 10% terror. He reviewed camera feeds, supervised guard rotations, checked access points, ran background checks on vendors and visitors. The work was tedious and vital and mostly uneventful. Rosa had adjusted well. She rode the bus to her old school every morning. Miguel picked her up every afternoon. They had dinner together in the guest house, did homework, watched movies. On weekends, they explored the estate. Rosa had not mentioned the dog again. Miguel had not offered. Victoria was kind but distant. They had meetings twice a week to discuss security updates. She treated Miguel with respect, asked about Rosa, remembered small details. But there was a wall between them. Professional courtesy. Appropriate distance. Miguel was her employee now. That changed things. He told himself it was fine. Better, even. Easier to do the job when there were no emotional complications. Easier to stay objective. Easier to leave when the time came. Because Miguel was already planning to leave. 6 months, he figured. Maybe a year. Long enough to save money. Long enough to give Rosa stability. Long enough to figure out what came next. Then they would move on. Find their own place. Build something that could not be taken away. On Christmas Eve morning, Rosa woke up excited. Maria was coming for dinner. Victoria had invited them to spend Christmas in the main house. There would be presents under a tree, Victoria had said. A real Christmas. Rosa had not had a real Christmas since Elena died. Miguel could not say no. At 2 p.m., Miguel was doing a perimeter check when his radio crackled. The guard at the main gate, sounding confused. So, there's someone here asking for Victoria Kane. Says is her brother. Name is James Kane. Miguel's blood went cold. James Kane is in jail. He's got paperwork saying he's out on bail. Court order. It looks legitimate. Don't let him on the property. I'm coming to the gate. Miguel ran. Hit the main house first. Found Victoria in her study. She looked up from her laptop, saw his face. What's wrong? James is at the gate. He says he's out on bail. All the color drained from Victoria's face. That's not possible. His bail was denied. He's supposed to be in jail until trial. He has paperwork. The guard says it looks real. Victoria was already on her phone. Called her lawyer. Listened. Went even paler. Is right. James posted bail yesterday. Some judge we've never heard of approved it. My lawyers are appealing, but for now he's out. Did they notify you? They were supposed to. They didn't. Her hands were shaking. Miguel, his hey. At my house. On Christmas Eve. I know. I'm not letting him in. He has every legal right to be here. This is family property. He's a partial owner. Miguel stared at her. You're not seriously considering letting him in. I don't have a choice. If I refuse him entry, his lawyers will use it against me. Claim I'm being hostile. That I'm trying to prejudice the trial. He tried to kill you. I know. But until he's convicted, he has rights. That's how the system works. The system. Miguel hated the system. Hated how it protected people like James Kane while crushing people like Miguel. Hated how money and lawyers could turn attempted murder into a technicality. Then I'm there when you see him, Miguel said. I don't leave your side. Victoria nodded. She looked terrified but determined. Okay, tell the guards to let him in. Escort him to the formal sitting room. I'll meet him there. You stay with me. Miguel called the gate. Gave the order. Then he called the guest house. Rosa answered. Dad. Mija, I need you to stay inside today. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone except me or Aunt Maria. Understand? What's wrong? Nothing. Just a precaution. Promise me. I promise. Miguel hung up. Walked with Victoria to the sitting room. A formal space with expensive furniture and art on the walls. A room designed for showing off wealth. Victoria sat in a high-backed chair. Miguel stood behind her. 2 more guards positioned themselves at the doors. James Kane arrived 10 minutes later. He looked like his cousin. Same gray eyes. Same aristocratic features. But where Victoria carried herself with quiet authority, James had something mean in his face. Something calculating and cruel. Victoria, he said pleasantly, like they were meeting for tea. Merry Christmas. What do you want, James? To talk. To apologize. To try to make this right. You tried to have me killed. There's no making that right. That's your version of events. Mine is different. But I didn't come here to argue. I came to offer a deal. I'm not interested in deals. James sat down on the couch across from Victoria without being invited. Crossed his legs. Perfectly relaxed. You should be. See? The prosecution's case against me is circumstantial. Yes, I hired those bodyguards. Yes, they betrayed you. But proving I told them to do it is harder. My lawyers think we can win at trial. Which means I walk free. You won't. I might. And if I do, where does that leave you? Always looking over your shoulder. Always wondering when I'll try again. Always afraid. He smiled. That's no way to live. Miguel's hands clenched. He wanted to throw James Kane out bodily. Wanted to wipe that smile off his face. But he stayed still. Stayed professional. This was Victoria's call. What's your deal? Victoria asked coldly. Admit you were wrong about me. Publicly. Say the investigation was flawed. That you rushed to judgment. In exchange, I'll plead guilty to a lesser charge. Embezzlement. White-collar crime. I'd do 5 years in minimum security. You get me out of your life. Everyone wins. Except justice. Justice is a fairy tale. This is reality. Take the deal, Victoria. It's the best you're going to get. Victoria stood. Get out of my house. James did not move. Think about it. You have until New Year's. After that, the offer expires and we go to trial. And I promise you, I will win. You tried to kill me. You're going to prison for that. No deals. We'll see. James stood, buttoned his suit jacket, looked at Miguel for the first time. You must be the hero. The janitor who saved the day. How does it feel? Playing bodyguard for your betters. Miguel said nothing. Victoria stepped between them. Leave. Now, or I'll have security remove you. I'm going. But I meant what I said. Think about my offer. It's generous. More than you deserve. James left. Miguel watched him walk out, flanked by guards. Watched through the window as he got into a car and drove away. Only when the car was through the gates did Miguel relax slightly. Victoria sat down hard, put her head in her hands. He's going to kill me. If he gets acquitted, he'll try again. And next time he'll succeed. No, Miguel said. He won't. I'll make sure of it. You can't watch me forever, Miguel. You have a daughter, a life. You can't spend every waking moment protecting me. That's literally my job. It's not sustainable. Something has to give. Before Miguel could respond, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost did not answer. But something made him. Some instinct. Miguel Torres. A man's voice. Unfamiliar. Cold. Who is this? Someone who wants you to give Victoria Kane a message. Tell her to take James's deal. Or tell her what happens next won't be pleasant. For either of you. Who is this? Miguel said again. The line went dead. Miguel lowered the phone slowly. Looked at Victoria. Someone just threatened us. Told you to take James's deal. Victoria closed her eyes. They are working together. James and whoever wants me dead. This was never just about the inheritance. This is bigger. What's bigger? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. The rest of the day passed in a haze of heightened security. Miguel called in every favor. Doubled the guards. Checked every system. Maria arrived with the kids. Miguel told her what happened. She wanted to leave. Miguel convinced her to stay. Running would not help. The threat was real wherever they went. Dinner was tense. Rosa sensed something was wrong but did not ask. Victoria tried to be festive. Turned on Christmas music. Served expensive food. Gave Rosa a present. A book about dragons. Rosa's eyes lit up. Miguel watched his daughter smile and thought about the phone call. About James Kane's smug face. About how fragile safety was. How quickly it could all fall apart again. At 11 p.m., after Maria and the kids left, Miguel did a final perimeter check. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. He stood in the yard between the guest house and the main house, looking at the Christmas lights Victoria had put up. Beautiful. Expensive. Temporary. Like everything in this life. His radio crackled. The guard at the south wall. So, we have movement in the woods. Possible intruder. Miguel was already running. Pulled his sidearm. Victoria had insisted he carry one. He had resisted. Now he was grateful. How many? Unknown. Thermal picked up something. Could be an animal. We know it is. James Kane is in jail, but is not working alone. Never locked down the house. No one in or out. Miguel reached the south wall. Met 2 guards there. They moved into the woods together. Flashlights cutting through darkness. The trees were thick hay. Old growth. Easy to hide in. They found the thermal signature 50 yards in. Not an animal. A man. Young. Maybe 25. Wearing dark clothes. No weapons visible. He put his hands up when he saw the flashlights. Don't shoot, the man said. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just need to talk to Ms. Kane. Who are you? My name is David Reed. I work for James Kane. I know what he's planning. I know who else is involved. And I know Ms. Kane is in serious danger. Miguel studied him. The man looked terrified. Genuine. But that meant nothing. How do I know you're telling the truth? You don't. But if you don't let me talk to her, she's going to die. Maybe tonight. Maybe tomorrow. But soon. Please. I'm trying to help. Miguel made a decision. Hands behind your head. Walk toward the house. My guard will search you. If you're lying, you're going to jail. I'm not lying. They brought David Reed to the main house. Searched him thoroughly. He was clean. No weapons. No wire. Just scared. Miguel brought him to Victoria's study. She looked up from her desk, saw the stranger. Who is this? David Reed. Says he worked for James. Says he knows what's coming. Victoria studied David. Talk. David talked. And what he said changed everything. James Kane was not working alone. He was part of a group. Wealthy people. Powerful people. People who had invested in Victoria's company. Who had lost money when Victoria made ethical decisions. When she refused to cut corners. When she chose integrity over profit. They wanted her gone. Wanted someone more compliant running her empire. James was their inside man. The hit in the parking garage was supposed to look random. A robbery gone wrong. The bodyguards were paid to fail. When Miguel saved her, the plan changed. Frame him. Discredit him. Make sure no one would believe his testimony later. When that failed, they tried again. The break-in at Victoria's home. The message. The psychological warfare. All designed to break her. Make her paranoid. Make her take Jamesy's deal. And if she doesn't? Miguel asked. David looked at Victoria. Then they kill everyone close to you. Starting with Miguel Torres and his daughter. Then your lawyers. Your friends. Your board members. They'll burn your entire world down until you have no one left. Then they'll kill you too. Victoria went white. Miguel felt something cold settle in his chest. They were coming for Rosa. For his daughter. Because he saved someone's life. Why are you telling us this? Victoria asked David. Because I have a daughter too. Because I thought I was helping build something. I didn't know they were killers. I didn't sign up for this. And I'm not letting a kid die because I was too scared to speak up. There was a long silence. Then Victoria said, "Thank you. For your courage. For your integrity. What happens now?" David asked. "Now we end this," Victoria said. She looked at Miguel. "No more defense. No more waiting. We go on offense." "How?" "We expose them. All of them." David gives his testimony to the police. To the press. "We blow this whole conspiracy open. Show the world exactly who these people are." "They'll come after us harder," Miguel said. "Let them. I'm done being afraid. I'm done letting evil people win because I was too worried about my own safety. You taught me that, Miguel. The night you ran into that parking garage. You showed me that sometimes you have to risk everything to do what's right." Miguel thought about Rosa. About keeping her safe. About running again. About teaching his daughter that hiding was smarter than fighting. Then he thought about Elena. About what she would say. Fight. Always fight. Never give up. Never let them win. "Okay," Miguel said. "We fight." The next 72 hours were chaos. David Reed gave his statement to police. War wire. Got more evidence. Names. Bank transfers. Recorded conversations. The conspiracy was bigger than anyone imagined. 8 people in total. All wealthy. All powerful. All willing to kill to protect their investments. The story broke on December 27th, front page of every major paper. Lead story on every news broadcast. The public was outraged. Federal investigators got involved. Arrests were made. James Kane and 7 others were taken into custody. No bail this time. Victoria held another press conference. Miguel stood beside her. Told the story again. All of it. David Reed testified about what he knew. The video from the parking garage was shown again. The full version. The truth. Public opinion shifted completely. Miguel was a hero again. Victoria was vindicated. The conspiracy unraveled in real time. But it was not over. On December 30th, someone tried to kill David Reed. Shot at him outside his apartment. Missed. David survived. Went into protective custody. The shooters were never found. On New Year's Eve, Victoria received a letter. Hand-delivered. No return address. Inside, one sentence. "You think you've won. You haven't." Miguel read it. Felt the threat. knew this was not over, would maybe never be over, because money and power protected itself, because the system was broken, because justice was slow and imperfect, and people like Victoria Kane would always be targets. But they had won this round, and maybe that was enough. On New Year's Day, Miguel and Rosa sat on the porch of the guest house, watching fireworks over Lake Washington. Expensive fireworks. The kind rich people shot off from their estates. Beautiful and temporary and ultimately meaningless. "Dad," Rosa said, "are we staying here?" Miguel had been thinking about that, about whether this borrowed life was sustainable, about whether he could keep Rosa safe here, about whether staying was brave or just avoiding the next fight. "For now," Miguel said. "Is that okay?" "Yeah, it's nice here. I like my school. I like my room. And Ms. Kane is nice." "She is. Do you like working for her?" Miguel considered the question. Did he like it? Like was complicated. It was meaningful work. Important. Well paid. But it was still service. Still living in someone else's shadow. "I like keeping people safe," Miguel said finally. "And she needs keeping safe. So yeah, I guess I like it." "Good." Rosa leaned against him. "I'm glad you're a hero, Dad. Mom would be proud." Miguel put his arm around his daughter. Watched the fireworks. Thought about Elena. About the parking garage. About the choice he made and all the consequences that followed. Good and bad. Pain and purpose. Loss and redemption. Was Elena proud? He wanted to believe she was. Wanted to believe she was watching from wherever the dead watched from. Seeing him raise their daughter. Seeing him do good in the world. Seeing him fight when fighting mattered. The fireworks faded. The new year arrived. Miguel and Rosa went inside. She went to bed. Miguel sat in the dark living room for a long time, thinking about the future, about what came next, about whether this temporary safety could ever become permanent. His phone buzzed. Text from Victoria. "Thank you for everything. For saving my life. For fighting beside me. For being someone I can trust. Happy New Year, Miguel Torres. Here's to better days ahead." Miguel typed back, "Happy New Year. And yes, better days. We earned them." He meant it. They had earned better days. Had fought for them. Had risked everything for them. And maybe better days would come. Maybe the threat would fade. Maybe life would stabilize. Or maybe this was just a pause before the next fight. The next threat. The next impossible choice. Either way, Miguel was ready. Because he had learned something important in that parking garage. Something Elena had tried to teach him, but he had not understood until he was faced with a choice between safety and courage. Some things were worth fighting for. Some people were worth saving. Some risks were worth taking. And sometimes, the right thing to do was also the hardest thing to do. But you did it anyway. Because that was what heroes did. Not people in capes. Not special people. Just ordinary people who made extraordinary choices when the moment demanded it. Miguel Torres, former janitor, current bodyguard, reluctant hero, closed his eyes and slept peacefully for the first time in months. And somewhere in Seattle, the system ground on. Trials would be held. Justice would be attempted. Some of the guilty would go to prison. Others would slip through the cracks. Money would protect those it always protected. Power would shield those it always shielded. But one woman was alive who should have been dead. One girl had her father because he chose to be brave. One man learned that his life had value not because of what he owned, but because of what he was willing to give. And sometimes, in a world that often felt hopeless, that was enough. 6 months later, Miguel Torres was still head of security for Victoria Kane. Rosa was thriving at her school. Maria visited every Sunday. The guest house felt almost like home. Almost. Victoria's company had recovered from the scandal. New board members. New policies. A foundation started in Elena Torres's name, providing medical support for families dealing with cancer. Miguel had not asked for that. Victoria had done it anyway. James Kane and his co-conspirators were convicted. Long sentences. Real consequences for once. The system waking the way it was supposed to. Not perfect, but justice, however flawed. One afternoon in June, Miguel was doing a routine check when Victoria found him. "Walk with me," she asked. They walked the grounds. The gardens were beautiful. Professional landscaping. Flowers Miguel could not name. Peaceful. I've been thinking, Victoria said. About the future. About this arrangement. About what's Faye. Miguel's stomach tightened. Hey, it was. The end. The moment when temporary became permanent in the other direction. When he was let go. When they had to start over again. You've been with me for almost 8 months, Victoria continued. You've kept me safe. Kept yourself safe. Done exemplary work. And I've been paying you a salary. Treating you like an employee. But that doesn't feel right anymore. What do you mean? Victoria stopped walking. Turned to face him. I mean, you saved my life. And in return, I'm paying you to serve me. That's not equality. That's not partnership. That's just me being another person who uses you. I don't feel used. But you're not free either. You live in my guest house. Work in my home. Your daughter grows up in my shadow. That's not the life you should have. Miguel's throat felt tight. What are you saying? I'm saying I want to change our arrangement. I'm giving you the guest house. As in, I'm transferring the deed to your name. It's yours. Free and clear. You own it. You can stay here and keep working for me. Or you can leave and do something else. But either way, you have a home that belongs to you. That no one can take away. Miguel stared at her. Victoria, that guest house is worth. I know what it's worth. And I know you earned it. 10 times over. Take it. Please. Let me give you something real. Miguel thought about Elena's house. The one they lost. The one he could never get back. Thought about owning something. Building equity. Having stability that did not depend on someone else's generosity. Why? He asked. Because you taught me something important. That courage matters. That ordinary people can do extraordinary things. That the measure of a life is not what you accumulate but what you give. You gave me my life. Let me give you something in return. Miguel felt tears in his eyes. He brushed them away. Thank you. For all of it. For the job. For the house. For treating me like I matter. You do matter, Miguel Torres. More than you know. They walked back to the main house in silence. Inside, Rosa was in the kitchen with one of the staff, learning to bake cookies. She looked up when Miguel entered. Smiled. Flower on her face. Happy. This was home now. Really home. Not borrowed. Not temporary. Theirs. That night, Miguel sat on the porch of his house. His house. Looked at the stars. Thought about the parking garage. About the moment that changed everything. About how one choice could ripple out in ways you never imagined. He thought about Elena. About whether she would approve of this life. This work. This future. He thought she would. Because it was honest. Because it helped people. Because Rosa was safe and happy and growing up knowing her father was someone who stood up when it mattered. And really, that was all that mattered. Everything else was just details. Miguel Torres owned a home now. Had a job he was good at. A daughter who was thriving. Friends who valued him. A purpose that gave his life meaning. Not the life he planned. Not the life he imagined. But a good life. Maybe even a great life. And it all started because one night, he made a choice. Ran toward danger instead of away from it. Did the right thing even though it cost him everything. Some people would say he was lucky. That things worked out because the universe owed him. That karma was real and good things happened to good people. Miguel knew better. The universe did not owe anyone anything. Good people suffered all the time. Justice was rare. Fairness was a myth. But sometimes, if you were brave enough, if you fought hard enough, if you refused to give up even when everything fell apart, sometimes things worked out anyway. Not because you deserved it, but because you earned it. Through courage and sacrifice and sheer stubborn determination to keep moving forward no matter what. And that was enough. More than enough. Miguel Torres went inside, locked the door of his house, checked on his daughter, went to bed in his own room in his own home with the knowledge that tomorrow he would wake up and do work that mattered and come home to a place that belonged to him. And somewhere in the stars, Elena Torres smiled. Because her husband had found his way. Her daughter was safe. Her family had survived. And the man who saved a stranger in a parking garage had become someone worth saving himself. Thank you for going on this journey. If this story moved you, do 3 things right now. 1. Hit that like button. 2. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what part hit you hardest. 3. Share this with someone who needs to hear that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications because stories like this matter, and I'll keep telling them as long as you keep listening. From my screen to yours, remember this: your choices matter. Your courage counts. And sometimes, running toward the fire instead of away from it is exactly what the world needs. Happy New Year. Stay brave, stay kind, and never stop fighting for what's right.